welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning Fan Show. That's right, everyone's a fan of something, and we've got something for every fan, including those of you that have patiently waited for the start of the 2019 National Arena League season. That's right, that happens this weekend. I've got the schedule up here, and an exclusive to boot. That's how we are going to start this week off, is with an exclusive. The VP of the Carolina Cobras, the reigning, defending, undisputed National Arena League champion Carolina Cobras, will be joining me. And great conversation. They landed a huge deal today, a TV deal, so that means that their production will be up to snuff. It's going to be a great production, I feel. So they're going to be radio, TV, YouTube, and everything like that. This is the first step, first big step, really, towards a lot that a team in its infancy needs to do in order to sort of establish themselves as some of the best in the league, if not the arena landscape as a whole. And Brian has done his diligence. He's put in his legwork, and he has done that. And we talk all about that. But of course, to start off every episode, we do have the headlines. We're going to do headlines a little differently today. I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't want to have 45-minute episodes where I sit on the Facebook Live for the first 30 minutes of it and then have like a 10 or 15-minute interview and then wrap up and it's over. So what we're going to do then is these first 15 minutes are going to be open up for AMA. Moving forward, as long as it pertains to what we're talking about. I'll go through the headlines. You're welcome to ask your questions on the Facebook Live if you have any, or share your comments, and then we'll go through that. And we'll see if we can't cut it down a bit just to make sure that we are, in fact, doing the best that we can to keep on topic and give you guys the best coverage of everything that you guys have tuned in for. And we did have a fantastic Week 7 in the IFL. WrestleMania happened. NAL is about to start. There's more news coming out about the AFL. So we've got a lot to talk about. So if you're at your keyboard, if you're watching on Facebook Live, facebook.com/fanshowofficial, then get ready. Go ahead and start jumping in the conversation, because here are today's headlines. Headlines, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises. They make a lot of really great stuff, including stickers like these ones, if you're watching on Facebook Live. This is our robotics and tech division, which you'll be seeing a lot of in the months to come, because we are going to BattleBots tapings next week, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I can't wait. Or in the next couple weeks, I should say. And that's part of the headlines as well. We'll get to that in a moment. But Dynamite Enterprises can really make you anything that you want. If there's, if you want a jacket like this one, they didn't make this one, but they can. Okay, this one was a gift from the VP of the San Francisco 49ers. I love this jacket. It's that time of year up here in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm going to wear it. But they could make one that had the Fan Show logo here instead of the 49ers logo. They can make hats. They can make beanies. They can make coasters. They can make production equipment. They can do mic flags. They can do it all. Drop and repeats, backdrops. Some of you may have seen mine in my tablecloth. They not only do it, but they do it well. And if something goes wrong, they will take care of you. It's one of the best business relationships I have. Couldn't be happier about it. Couldn't want anybody else handling my stuff for on the go, the tour, and on location. So if you need anything done like that for promotional, for marketing, for advertising, any sort of use like that, hit up Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com, or visit their site, dynamiteenterprises.com. And in the interview with Brian Schmidt, I stumbled over a few of my words, so apparently it's going to be one of those Tuesdays. And how perfect is it? I just started my vocal training class, and I'm already like, you should have heard me doing the voiceover for this week's Fan Show Top 10. Oh, man, so many takes. I was like, it was ridiculous. We got through it. So, Ow Now Brown Cow, Unique, New York, the arsonist had oddly shaped feet. And we're up and running. Headlines. Week 7 of the IFL was awesome. So awesome, though, that the candidates that I had, which I'll leave it up to you guys if you guys want me to announce this week's outstanding players of the week, offensive, defensive, and, of course, special teams, because I haven't finished their photos and the posts for Facebook yet, but I do know who they are. One of them has proved especially difficult to find a photo of, but I do know who they are. There were 6 or 7 candidates for Outstanding Offensive Player of the Week. There were 2 for Defensive. That's the kind of week that we had. A couple of shootouts. Outstanding Special Teams. Kickers did not have a very good week, and that was bad. But yeah, Defensive only had like 2 or 3 candidates really, and one of them, it was just like that was it, but that was a really good it, you know? Offensive, though, there were a couple of guys that really did outstanding work. So I'm not disappointed at all. I think it was just one of those weeks. We had, let's see, Iowa, they got past Cedar Rapids, and I'm watching this game because I wasn't able to watch any of these in real time. So I had to go back, and I had one up here, one here, and one on the TV. And I'm looking, and I'm going 3 ways watching these games, writing down, plays for the top 10, taking notes and everything like that. And up until the fourth quarter, I was like, Iowa, how did Iowa win this? And sure enough, it was a turn of events like that, and it was crazy because Markel Wade had not 1 but 2 kick returns for touchdowns, and I couldn't believe it. I'm watching this game, I was like, how did they win this game? But that's what separates great teams from good teams. That's what separates champions from contenders, is what Iowa's been able to do this season. You can knock their schedule all you want. You really can. But the truth is that in the moment, you either play 4 quarters of football and get the win, or you fall just shy and you don't. And that's what Iowa did. So props to them. Really good game, solid game. If you guys haven't watched it, go back and watch it. Green Bay, they did it again versus Quad City. That's 2 in a row. Green Bay is now off to their best start since 2012, I believe, was the last time they were above 500 in any facet. They're 2 games above it now. And really well, they are playing 4 quarters of competitive football. They are finishing games. They are finding ways to win in the clutch when they need to. And it's been a great job to their coaching staff, to their defense. Their defense has been phenomenal, but it was their offense that essentially got them the W. They were able to go down, and I thought Quad City had it when they scored their late touchdown. I was like, there's no way. This is it. This is the tit for tat for this rivalry, and Quad City's going to come away with a win here. When B.J. Hill's kick return for a touchdown got called back, which I'm still infuriated about, there were 4 kick returns for touchdowns this week. More kick returns for touchdowns than actual field goal attempts made, and B.J. Hill wasn't one of them. It's maddening. But anyway, Green Bay got it done. When that return got called back, I was like, that's it. There's no way, and they did it. So props to Lenoris Footman and company on that offense for doing such a great job. Nebraska, they narrowly escaped Tucson, but I think a lot of people look at Tucson and their record and they're fooled. Their record is, going into that game, they were 3-1. 2 of their 3 wins were against the same team who haven't won a game all season. And the other team that they had played against was Bismarck. And some people had these guys ranked as high as 4 or 5 in the league. And I'm like, no, that's not right. And I'm not knocking Tucson. I have friends on Tucson. I just think that we're early in the season. We're early enough in the season that records can be deceiving. And that's what that proved. And Arizona, they set a team high, 91 points against San Diego, which I think speaks to where San Diego's at right now. They kept showing their head coach on the sideline during that game. He could not have been less thrilled to be there than he was. And I understand that they were getting their asses kicked, but it's just like he genuinely looks uninterested in what's happening out on the field all the time. And it's different from Coach Guy, who doesn't smile. He doesn't have really any facial expressions. It's different. He seems uninterested, and I'm not a fan. But hey, it is what it is. 91 points, and in the first quarter, they went for an onside kick. And I know the saying is, if you want us to stop scoring, then stop us from scoring. But it's the first quarter. You're up by, I think, 21 or 28 at that point, and they went for an onside kick. I'm watching this unfold, and I'm like, that's unreal. SF, Sioux Falls, they make it 2-0 against Bismarck in the Battle of the Dakotas. The Bucks played a lot better this week, and I think that's to be expected. You can't expect bad teams to be bad all season, and Sioux Falls has had some problems, and I believe that they have addressed those issues. Your thoughts from Week 7, what you saw, what you liked, what maybe you didn't like. I see Adam's in here, James is in here. Hello, Cody, Ty, Keith, Jason, you guys. Awesome, your thoughts on Week 7. Let's see. James White says, how do you think Carolina offense is going to be going into this year? We will talk about that. And then let's see here. Great shameless plug. Yes, exactly. Adam says, all right, show of hands, who had Green Bay at 4-2 at this time, because I didn't. The optimist in me, the eternal optimist that loves this sport, that loves this league and the teams in it, I always want the best for these teams, right? And I really think that Coach Corey Roberson and a few others were onto something when they went into this season and seeing this young squad and knowing that you were going to have vets like B.J. Hill come back. The big question mark was their quarterback. But the defense has been outstanding, large contributing factor to their success. I'm not going to say that I had them at 4-2. I don't know if anybody did. Even the most passionate, devout Green Bay fans, I don't know if they did. But I did think that they were probably going to be on the cusp, right? It was either going to be 500 or one game below 500 is what I thought for Green Bay. And I looked at the schedule. I looked at it. I was like, okay, Arizona, that's a tough opener. That's a tough home game to start out the season with. That's probably going to be a tough one. And it was. But then 2 games against Quad City, I knew those games were going to be good and close, and then especially as we got closer to those games, the game against Nebraska. Iowa's the one outlier, and I don't believe that that's the norm for Green Bay in 2019. I just don't believe that 3 points is a true showing of what their potential is on the road against former champions. So I thought that was an odd game. Iowa played really well. Green Bay, not so much, in the complete opposite direction. So I'm going to say 500 or one game below 500 is where I thought Green Bay was, and I'm glad that they're 2 games over. I mean, that's all you can expect. Hey, Jose. Hey, Richard. Good to see you guys. And then National Arena League starts this week. This weekend, we got some games here. In fact, let me go and take a look at the schedule. Your reigning, defending champion, Carolina Cobras, they start their season out on the road against who? The Massachusetts Pirates. Not going to be the same as it was last year. This rivalry could have been something great, but they've simply lost too many players that made it such an interesting matchup. It'll still be a great game. I'm sure that they've made the adjustments that they've needed to, both personnel and roster-wise in Massachusetts, and Carolina doing the same thing. Coach Billy Beck, you can never count him out. He takes coal and turns it into diamonds. He really does. If you don't believe me, look at his roster and how poached it got by the AFL. I mean, like, all of his starters, up and gone. The New York Streets, they will face Jacksonville, the Sharks. That is Saturday at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Carolina and Massachusetts, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. And then 4:30 Eastern, 1 Pacific is Columbus Lions and the Orlando Predators, who welcome back to the league. I believe these are Eastern times because the whole league is on the East Coast. If it's not Eastern times, or is it in Pacific time because I'm in Pacific time? I don't know. I'll have to double check. So I'm sorry, you guys, if that's the wrong time. But if you're fans of the NAL, you already know. You don't need me to explain it to you. Hey, Luke, good to see you. I miss you too, man. And good to see you, Rich, also. Chris Tatum, welcome. And you guys, again, your thoughts on Week 7 in the IFL, the upcoming season of the NAL. WrestleMania. WrestleMania happened. Your thoughts on that? Feel free to jump in the conversation. WrestleMania is getting a lot of criticism because of, one, its ungodly runtime. The wife and I started watching the pre-kickoff at, I think, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, our time. And this thing went until, I think, like 9:30 our time. And she's like, we just watched 7.5 hours of wrestling. And I was like, I'm not mad about that. I'm not. It's just not ideal, right? It's they got to do something. There was a few matches on there that I didn't understand why they were, that they could have easily done without. But The finish is getting a lot of criticism, and from my understanding, from what I've read, it was not supposed to happen like that. The outcome that we ultimately got was supposed to happen, but that way it wasn't. And it's interesting that that can happen because I've heard them make changes, call audibles, as superstars are making their way to the ring. It happened, I think, at last year's WrestleMania. So there's a voice in the ear of the referee. So how this happened, I don't know. So it leads me to believe that, something was going on there, that whatever. But it was otherwise great. The match quality may not have been 5-star all around. There were some matches that I thought were amazing. Kofi versus Daniel Bryan was outstanding. Probably the centerpiece of that whole event. Not only the match quality, but just the moment that it was. Kofi Kingston ultimately winning and being crowned the first African-American WWE champion in history. It's 2019. It's the first time that's happened. It's 2019. It was the first time that we have had women in the main event. The main event's main event at WrestleMania. The one that ends the show, and that was Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey. Becky Lynch coming out with 2 belts. It was a really great match despite the ending. Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar opened things up. We have a new Universal Champion. So all your fan favorites won. And the match quality, I think 1 out of 3, 1.5 out of 3 was great. And then the rest, just really flowed. We got to see Thugonomics, John Cena come back. My wife didn't even know who he was. That was priceless. But overall, I thought it was really good. New tag team champs for the women, the Iconics, and new Raw tag team champs. The streak ended for Kurt Hawkins, and Zack Ryder and him get the win. So it was a lot of fun. WrestleMania is just that event, right? Adam says, Kofi Mania is running wild. Yes, Chris Tatum also, Kofi Mania. I think this is great. I haven't watched Raw yet, but in my mind, WrestleMania could have ended when Kofi got the 1, 2, 3. The New Day lifted him up on their shoulders, and they unveiled the old belt, right? And they threw out the new merch, and Kofi's kids came into the ring. You could have cut, edited, and printed that right then and there, and I wouldn't have been mad about it. But it happened when it needed to, and it was just one of those moments that you feel like it's going to happen. You hope it's going to happen, and when you do, you're still overwhelmed with emotion. And that's how I was for Kofi Kingston winning. In robotics and tech, BattleBots, they are arriving to the taping location in Long Beach, California. I'll be there in a couple weeks for the last portion of the taping. But the bots and their boxes and their crews are all showing up. They're setting up. You can follow them on their social media. Obviously, Twitter and Instagram, both at BattleBots, and Facebook is at BattleBots. And the pit's being set up, and the tapings will start soon. And I'm very excited for another season of BattleBots. In outdoors news, Bass Battles is down to 3. All-Star Bass Fishing's Bass Battles now down to 3. Defending champ Jeremy McKay. You have a new guy in there, David Mays, and then the rookie Ron Six. $1,200 on the line for the winner of that, and we'll have more on that as we get closer. Bobby Brown, the head of Bass Battles and All-Star Bass Fishing, will probably stop by. And let's see, in pop culture news, Avengers Endgame this month. Game of Thrones finally this weekend. Oh, I'm so excited for it. Here's the mistake the wife and I made, though, on Game of Thrones. We've been binge watching, right? We wanted to start all over from the beginning and get right up until we were done and ready for the new season. We've been doing like 3-4 episodes a night. And we made the mistake of not averaging out how many we would need to get right up to when the next one airs, right? The new ones. So we've got 1 episode left, and it's Tuesday. And I looked at her last night. I'm like, you realize that the next episode we have is this last season's finale, and that gives us a total of 5 nights without Game of Thrones to just sit and just wait. Just wait for this thing to premiere because we were not smart about timing this. But anyway, it's here. Game of Thrones is here. If you're in the Northwest area, Seattle area specifically, the Interrupters are playing Seattle tomorrow night. I wish I could be there, but I can't. Let's see what other comments we've got in here. We've got, oh, hey, Rob and Antonio joined. Hey, guys. Rob says, did not see WrestleMania, but looked up the results. Did not realize that Brock Seth went only 2.5 minutes. That surprises me. Well, the match technically only went 2.5 minutes, but they were out at that ring throwing each other around for a good 10. But yeah, it was pretty sad. People were upset about that one, but at least they started the thing off with that and got it out of the way. Let's see here. Chris says, yeah, it definitely was ridiculous, fast and underwhelming. And that's Brock Lesnar. That's why they wanted him out of there. And I have no doubts that Heyman was being completely serious when he said, we're going to be on a plane to Vegas the second this thing is done. And they were probably watching the remaining 4 hours of Mania from Vegas. It's just, that's what I feel happened. Let's see. James says, just started watching... Let's see. Oh, Ken Walton's reviews. Yeah, Ken Walton's reviews of Game of Thrones have been awesome. If you don't know, he's one of the funniest guys in the NAL. Played for the Carolina Cobras, and he's watching Game of Thrones for the first time, season to season to season, binge watching the whole damn thing. And his reviews have been hilarious. Very, very funny. Antonio says, WrestleMania was iconic. Yes, your obsession with the Iconics is suspicious. I don't understand what's going on with why you like the Iconics so much, Antonio. But hey, I don't judge, you know. Question, because I have a crush on Becky Lynch. My wife has a crush on Becky Lynch. Like, everybody I know has, like, some crush on Becky Lynch. And she doesn't even, like, dress like a Carmella does, or like a Tori Wilson would have, or, you know, it's not scantily clad. It's not like super skin tight attire that's a two-piece. It's like she's leather jacket and badass, and yet there's so many crushes on her. Do you think Becky Lynch knows how hot she is? There's a question for you, because I don't know. I don't know if she does. Let's see here. Yeah, James, I agree. They are spot on. And Antonio's laughing at me for making fun of why he loves the Iconics. The latest Fan Show Top 10 is out. Go and check it out. I'm particularly proud of this one because there were 25 plays, 25, that I had marked on a legal pad, such as this one, of plays I thought were top 10 worthy. And I was being a stickler about them, too. I was being stingy. I was like, that's a touchdown. That was a good throw. But, like, I was being picky, and I still had 25 by the end of it, and I whittled it down to 10. So the 10 best plays, from my point of view, are up on the Facebook page as well as on the YouTube channel. You can see them in 3 parts. Each one is a minute long on the Instagram. And then, of course, Twitter. It shows all the way up into the top 3. And if you want to see the top 3, click the link to go to the YouTube channel, and you can watch them there. So if there's a will, there's a way. If you want to see this week's Fan Show Top 10, go ahead and go check them out and give them a share. A lot of the guys like it. If you know Drake White, tell him he's on there. Look, if you know who Drake White is, you need to tell him that he's on the top 10. Let's see. Any more comments from you guys? We're about 23 minutes here into the show. I've got a great conversation with Brian Schmidt coming up and a few plugs to do as far as social media. And if you can't listen live or watch on the Facebook Live, how to download and subscribe to the show. So we'll do one quick rundown of the headlines. And you guys there in the chat, you are welcome to comment anything else that you wanted to say. And then don't forget that once we're done here, you can flip it over to Spreaker.com and hear the interview in its entirety, as well as use the chat there. Always a lot of fun. So Week 7 was great. We'll have a Week 8 preview, which obviously will include the first week of the National Arena League season, so that'll be a lot of fun. I'm trying to get Coach Billy back to be my guest Thursday as we preview the upcoming week, and we'll see if Coach Corey Roberson can join me this week to discuss the best start that Green Bay's had since 2012. They are 4-2. They're ranked number 4 in the standings, and I believe that the power rankings will reflect that as well this week. So keep an eye out for that. But it's right now I'd say probably a 6-team race to the playoffs. Out of the 10, the bottom 4 though really need to get something figured out. Nebraska, I'm on the fence about. I don't know. I know their potential is great, but I don't know how good Nebraska is. And then I can't wait to see what the NAL has to offer this season with the new face, the New York Streets, and the returning, the Quad City Steamwheelers of the NAL, the Orlando Predators. Good fan base, good team. WrestleMania was great. Thugonomics Cena was my favorite part about it. BattleBots. Okay, I think we got through everything. So last moments here. Adam says, now to wait for the next big wrestling event, All Elite Wrestling, Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. Yes, that is very true. They made some jokes about it at the Hall of Fame. That's the last thing I wanted to say. Who rushes the stage to tackle Bret Hart? The first time I ever saw a fan rush the ring was Rob Van Dam versus Eddie Guerrero, Monday Night Raw in a ladders match, and they rushed it to break up a 3 count. I mean, that to me as a fan is like, if you're going to rush the ring for any reason, it should be that, to break up a 3 count. You're like, not on my watch. And you break that up. But this dude runs in the ring. Where security was, I don't know. Rastafarian hat and tackles. Doesn't like hug, because if I was going to rush the ring to hug somebody, I would hug, sneak hug, and then run away. He runs in and he does like, and just rips him down. And I was like, why would you do that? And I've seen all the videos. The dude gets punched in the face by like 3 superstars. It's like, I get that it's scripted and it's predetermined and choreographed, or whatever word that you want to use that's not saying it's fake, but it's not like real sports, whatever. But it's like, why would you do that? That's like rushing the stage of a press conference at a UFC event. These guys all know how to fight. Like, it's just not smart. It's not smart at all. Let's see here. Dean Ambrose will be at All Elite Wrestling. Probably. All right, that's going to do it for headlines, guys. I thank you for tuning in on the Facebook Live here. This was one of the best turnouts that we've had on Facebook Live, so thank you very much for that. Hey, Coach Nick Rudd up there. See a couple of you guys. Sorry if I didn't get to all of you, but yeah, this is a great turnout. A lot of comments, so we're going to go ahead and switch it over now to Spreaker, my interview with VP of the Carolina Cobras, Coach Brian Schmidt. So thank you guys for tuning in. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now, once assistant coach is now VP. You will address him as Vice President Brian Schmidt, and they just landed a huge TV deal today with Carolina Cobras. How you doing, Coach? Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. I'm doing good. I'm not sure. I think I sometimes like Coach better, but depends on the day.
Yeah, you're a man who wears many, many hats now, and
I do.
And I'm sure that this one is like your most favorite, but your least favorite, because obviously you got to announce a big TV deal today, if I can get it out. But of course, the road to that is anything but paved in smooth surface. So I'm sure you're happy it's done.
Yeah, this all started back in September. So this whole thing has gone and grown legs since September.
Wow.
I think there's always this misconception that, you walk into a room and bing, bang, boom, things are done. And it's great when it happens once in a while, but many times this is what it is. I mean, this started, our first meeting with My 48 was in September, and it was televising the games and all that. From September to now, I mean, it grew legs to televising the games, a coach's show, commercials on 2 stations. They're running commercials. They're running radio commercials. So it grew from a pebble to a boulder, but I couldn't be happier. I mean, this is what we need. The brand recognition, the ability to show our product here in the Triad, to get people to see who we are, and watching it on TV is nothing like coming to the games, and that's the biggest key. But for people to see it, and that's the most important thing to me right now. And so to get this done, I couldn't be happier. It's a lot of work, but this is definitely something that is going to help us in a lot of ways for not only this year but years to come.
Yeah, and obviously big season for Carolina going in, you guys, as the reigning champions looking to try and repeat. There's a few new faces in the league, obviously, that are going to try to make some waves. One brand new, another returning to the league after a hiatus. But there's a good landscape here, and the production value, of course, needs to coincide with the product that you put out on the field, which for you guys last season was fantastic. Of course, when I visited and followed the team in the league last year, this was pretty much your role, but not your title. Now that you have the title, though, and this is your primary focus, do you feel that you've been given kind of some breathing room and now the ability and the tools to accomplish a lot of things that you wanted to do last year, but not necessarily could?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. There's a lot of things from last year and this year. There's a lot of growing pains. There's a lot of things with our ownership, with Rob and Richard, that they had to endure last year that, we're year 2 on the football field, but we're still year 1 in terms of the business side. And so it's getting everybody from partners in the triad, potential businesses, fans, even people within our own organization. It's getting them to see the vision and understand how to get to the vision. I've been doing this for 12 years, both coaching and front office. I've had good ability, in my life doing this. I always make a joke. I've been a few places where I've had to turn water to wine. And I'm kind of in that same boat right now here, of not obviously so bad, but really turning this vision into something that I think could be very big in this area. So sometimes things don't happen as quickly as you'd like, and sometimes you have to beat people over the head to get them to see your vision and what needs to be done. But it's coming. This TV deal was a big deal. Our season ticket sales are up. We had our season ticket pickup party on Sunday, and in 12 years of doing this, I had something that I've never had happen, and that was we schedule it from 1 to 4, and generally speaking, season ticket pickup parties are kind of a trickle effect as the day goes on. You'll get some busy times. Which we had, we filled the building at 12:57. It was lined all the way through the restaurant, going all the way back out of the restaurant for tickets. People came and ate and sat down and ate rather than standing in line, and then people got their tickets and sat down and ate. But it was one of the more incredible things that I've seen, that our fan base is really starting to pick up, and having that many people there all at once, it was pretty amazing. So we're getting there. It's nothing is ever as fast as you want. Nothing is ever as perfect as you want. But everything that we're doing now is not only to help us for this year, but also to help us for future years, because that brand recognition is what brings the partnerships and what brings, the season ticket holders and people coming to your games.
Absolutely. And on that note, because you touched on something that I was curious about moving into, technically year 2, as you mentioned, this is kind of your year 1, but for you guys to have the fan interaction, like the ticket party or the ticket pickup party, and then of course having community events and things where you guys are actively interacting with the community, and now this TV deal. Do you feel that one is necessarily more important than the other as far as ticket sales, or do they kind of create a nice cycle for each other, that with one comes the other and then the other feeds into the other?
They really do feed into each other, and that was the one thing that I really tried to hit home with a lot of people, that there are people that say, oh, well, if advertising is the key, being on TV is the key, being out in the community, you're getting one person at a time, it's great, but it's not going to get you there any quicker. I know this from experience, and that is, you've got to have one, you've got to have the other, because they both have to go together. Yes, our advertising. We are running radio ads on 12 radio stations.
Wow.
We are on the back of transit buses. Our TV deal, our TV commercials. We are putting things out there. I would have liked for us to have been able to do it quicker and sooner, more into the year, but we'll deal with that next year. But right now, we've got a lot of things that are running, and that's the great thing. Now, what has happened is you've got that, but then our community events, our being in the community, the things that we're doing, we're getting those opportunities. So now you're able to bring them both together. And so that's what corporate sponsors want to see. That's what fans want to see. You know, I love, and I had this today, actually. I mean, I had somebody, I had actually a Cobra shirt on, and somebody came up and said, hey, you know, we're coming to the first game, and this is the second game that we've ever come to. We came to one last year and we loved it, and we're coming to more this year, and seeing that interaction. And the one thing they said that really jumped out was they said, you know, I saw that you guys had done some events and you guys had done some readings at some schools and stuff like that. And we just thought that was so cool. And that's made us want to support you even more. So where that's helped is because, you know, they saw us with commercials last year. They came to a game. Well, now they have followed us. Well, now they're seeing us do community events. That makes them want to support us more. You have to have everything go together, because if you don't, you're missing out on opportunities. We want to be heavy in the community. We want to help, the triad grow and help in any way that we can. So it's not just stuff that helps us. It's things that we can do to put back in the community.
Excellent, and I'm glad to see that, because I've always believed that the hands-on stuff paid off a lot more than paid advertising. I mean, I love that Facebook keeps telling me, hey, this post is doing really well. If you pay $5 or $10, you can boost it and reach this many people. It's like, I reach that many people organically on my own because of the interactions that I do with people on a daily basis from the show's page. I don't need to pay to try to get numbers less than that. So it's good to hear some insight from that, and I'm glad that you guys are obviously keeping with a blueprint that is working out for you. And now you guys are going to kick off the season on the road, but then you'll come back home the week after. What is priority number one going into week one of a year that you guys are trying to not only meet expectations, but obviously exceed expectations?
It's to give, from a business side, it's obviously to make sure that our product is even better than it was last year. We're going to make mistakes. That happens with any organization, but it's how you overcome that, and it's how you make your brand grow, and that's what we're doing right now. From a football side, go out and win. This is going to be, and people, there's two things that people don't realize when I tell them this. They just look at me like, wow, this, last year from announcement to first game, everything was done in 72 days.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. And when I took over, obviously doing both right before the first game, there's a lot of things you're putting a Band-Aid on, you're taking a Sharpie to other things, and you're just getting through. And the other thing that I tell people that is this is going to be, right now, the first time in 25 years I've not coached.
Wow.
In fact, and somebody I think you've had on your show before, Charles McCollum, he actually called me earlier, and we were talking, and he said, hey, you're going to the away game. You're going to the Massachusetts, right? I said, I'm not going to this one. I've got something back here. And I mean, he flat out said, he says, you got to be going to the rest of them. And I was like, yeah, that's my plan. They're not going to let me get too far away from the coaching side of it. I've already, been a couple times during training camp where I've gotten a phone call from Billy going, what do you got going on tomorrow? 'Cause, we got, be it maybe a positional thing. Hey, need you out. I mean, I was at one practice and I yelled, screamed, and threatened some manhoods, and they played better. And I said, well, my work here's done. And I went back, changed, put a tie on, and started doing vice president stuff. So that's, my role from coaching is never going to be too far away, and it won't be the last time I ever coach. But it's, it is different. So there's a lot of things right now that are are a surprise for everybody when I tell them, and I just get through every day, and that's the big key.
That is the key, and that's all anybody can ask. And I'm sure I'll talk to Billy. I'll see if I can get him on Thursday's show, the big preview for the big season opener. But, you have done great work with Carolina, given all the plates spinning at once that you've had to sort of get handed off and thrown at you. But I don't believe that your coaching time is at an end, and I'm sure that there's probably a few would-be vacancies out there that are kicking themselves that they didn't hire you as a coach right now. So we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, and my whole thing has been is I see a lot of these teams, and it's like, the choices you make are the reason you're where you're at, and if somebody gave me the opportunity to be a head coach and also come in and do the things that I can do on the business side, that I'm not ever saying I would say no to that, but at the same time, the one great thing about being here is I've got ownership and people that have believed in me and put me in a great position. So I'm always one that, it's gonna take a lot to get me away. But I look at some of these teams and I just shake my head because there's some great markets out there that put the right people in place. They could really be something big.
Absolutely. Well, he is Vice President Brian Schmidt, but he'll always be Coach Schmidt to me and probably a lot of other guys out there. So, Coach, I want to thank you so much for taking the time and letting us know about your big TV deal and all the great things to come for the Carolina Cobras in 2019.
Well, I appreciate you having me on and let me announce it on your show. I told you a couple weeks ago when it happened, I wanted you to be my first interview for it. So I appreciate it, and looking forward to you coming to Carolina here sometime this year.
Yeah, definitely looking at the calendar, seeing which matchups I like and which ones will be the most fun. But yes, you guys are at the top of my list as far as NAL games, and we'll see you this season. But hey, don't work too hard. Try to get some sleep, and good luck this weekend in the opener.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye-bye.
And one more big thank you to Vice President Brian Schmidt for joining me here on the show with the exclusive after the new TV deal. The dust hasn't even settled from that yet, and he's just like, all right, let's talk about it. I'm like, absolutely. So that's what the fan show is here for. But it was great to catch up with them. I'm very excited for their season opener this weekend. Don't you forget it. We've got the New York Streets and the Jacksonville Sharks, Carolina Cobras, and the Massachusetts Pirates. And then finally, we have the Columbus Lions and the Orlando Predators. All three games happening Saturday. Check your local listings because I'm not sure if these are times in my time zone or Eastern time zone. So it's either going to be 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, or 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific for the kickoff of 2 or 3 of these games. The other ones happen 30 minutes later. And then we'll have a whole new Top 10 NAL edition, the NAL Top 10, Power Rankings, Players of the Week. My workload will officially double come this weekend. I wouldn't have it any other way. I really wouldn't. So don't forget, if you can't join us on the Facebook Live, which is always a lot of fun if you can hear. I mean, I know that you guys can't see. I do my best to read the comments and everything as they come through, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to start the show with everybody joining in and sharing their thoughts on the weekend or the last 24 hours. So if you have Facebook, which most of you I'm sure do, it's facebook.com/fanshowofficial. And just, turn on the notifications if you want. It doesn't bother me, not if you don't. I won't know. But make sure that you, at least if you have the ability every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, to go ahead and tune in on the Facebook Live and hop in the comments. And the episode in its entirety is being broadcast live on Spreaker.com, and that is Spreaker.com/user/TheFanShow, and there is a chat feature on there as well. So there's several ways to interact during the actual live show as it happens. You can even tweet me at FanShowOfficial. You can message me on Facebook. You can comment or message on Instagram, which is The Fan Show. Twitter is at Fan Show Official. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get a hold of us, that you can interact with us, that you can like, share, and love all the great content that The Fan Show has to offer. And then, of course, if you can't listen live, if you can't watch live, then make sure that you subscribe. We've got a platform for everyone. iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and, of course, Spreaker.com. So I'm sure you have one of the four, if not four of the four. I know that I do on my phone, but that's to help share and promote the show. And it's many different flavors. So thank you all very much for tuning in tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Great Tuesday episode. We'll be back tomorrow night with an all-new episode, looking at a few different guests for tomorrow. And then, of course, Thursday, the big preview day for Week 8 of the IFL and the first week of the NAL 2019 season. So we got a lot of stuff to cover, and it's going to be a great week. So thank you once again. Give us a like, share, and a laugh. And remember, it's not official unless it's Fan Show official, folks. There are imitators that will try to be duplicators, but it's often imitated, can never be duplicated. And this is the Fan Show. Best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners! It's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.